What's up? This is Breeze, Ali Breeze, Breeze Ali. And the title of this video is 3 is a magic number. This video is a review of Genesis chapter 1, 2, and 3. And I just want to start off with an analogy. From acorn to oak tree. From acorn to oak tree. And the importance, or the thing about Genesis 1 through 3 is that, hold on, let me make sure I got my notes. It's an unfolding process. It's an unfolding. It's a starting at 1 and going to infinity type of process. It's important to look at not call it the fall, but think of it as an unfoldment, from an acorn to an oak tree. Because I feel that you can look at Genesis 1 to 3 as something that's happened simultaneously. And to begin, in Genesis 1, you have God, aka the Elohim, aka what I like to call the grand unified abstract, or the One. Now, in Genesis 1, chapter 1, verse 27, God creates man. God creates a man in the image of himself. And then from there, you get the 2, which is Lord God, aka Jehovah, aka the idea of God, the 2. And then from there, in Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, you have the Elohim forming man, or humanity. At this point, Adam is considered male and female, because in that verse, he created man and female. And Adam meant humanity. It meant more than one. It meant the multiplicity. It's not until Genesis, the end of Genesis 3, where Adam is just Adam. And from that point on, Adam is just Adam. But in 1, 2, and 3, Adam is humanity. Adam is not just one person. Adam is humanity. Adam is male and female. Adam is Adam and Eve. It's a lot of confusion that you can find yourself in with dealing with these words like God, Lord God. I would like to just call it, well, for the sake of this video, God is the grand unified abstract. So when you think of an acorn, the acorn is the abstract. In it exists all potential. The acorn, or the abstract, represents the idea of what it is, and represents the form and the potential of what it can be. Everything is represented in that acorn, just like everything is represented in God when the Spirit of God was looking down on the face of the deep, looking around in pure nothingness, and starting out. God was everything. One is everything, and in order to be something, because God is everything and God is nothing. Nothing is a part of everything, if you think that over. And so from everything to become something, this abstract now expresses as an idea. So that idea being Jehovah, aka Lord God. So you got the abstract, the idea, and then, like I said, the abstract in Genesis 1, and then in Genesis 1, verse 27, the idea is created. Because after Genesis 1 and Genesis 2, you have Lord God being spoken of. It's no more God, it's Lord God. So you have the abstract idea. That's basically what it is. God is the abstract, the Lord is the idea. So the abstract idea. So it's unfolding more. Because an abstract of something is everything. Everything. And then the idea is a piece of it. And then from that idea, you begin to form that idea. And the Bible isn't talking about materiality or the physical until the very end of Genesis 3 and beginning of very end of Genesis 3 and the beginning of Genesis 4. Everything is non-physical from Genesis chapter 1, 2, and 3. Hold on 1 second. What up, though? Okay, so from Genesis 1, you have the idea being made, Lord God, and then, so God created the heaven and the earth. Peace, AD. God created heaven and earth in Genesis 1. Created vegetation, created beasts that fly in the air, beasts on land, and beasts in water. And then from that part, then man is created. And this is the end of Genesis 1. And then you have in Genesis 2, the same thing is happening because man is created again in Genesis 2. You know, and then vegetation is created again in Genesis 2. So it's kind of like in Genesis 1, you have the abstract. You know, you have this potential of what it could be. You know, you have nothing. You know, that's why the first verses in Genesis 1 is talking about the void and formlessness. You know, and then from there, man being made in the image of God in Genesis 1 is the beginning of the unfoldment. It's the first step. It's the beginning of the fall, but I would want to call it the unfoldment. So once you get to Genesis 2, the idea of God, Lord God, forms man. Or I'm sorry. My bad. So, where was I at? So I don't want to ramble. In Genesis 2, verse 7, Lord God created, right, the fall of man. Lord God created, he formed man. He formed Adam. And at this point, Adam is representing male and female. Adam is representing humanity. So you have this process that's happening over and over again, which I would say we see it as something that's linear, but I would say that it's happened simultaneously. Lord God, or you have God creating the image of God, which is Jehovah, and then you have Jehovah forming man. I feel that these are all happening simultaneously. We're just used to it. We just see it linearly because everything that's non-physical, the shadow of what's non-physical is the physical. And as above, so below, as within, so without, everything is happening at the same time. It's not like, oh, spirit is doing something that's affecting me. No, spirit is doing something right now, and I'm the result of it in real time. So in Genesis 2, at the end of Genesis 2, when man is formed, then you get to Genesis 3, and all of a sudden Eden is created. And that's where you have Adam and Eve put into the garden, and you have the serpent. And at this point, this form, so you go from abstract idea to form. Now this form is continuing the unfolding process, and it's not a negative thing that the serpent tricked Eve. It was prophecy. It was going to happen. Once that acorn is planted and once that acorn sprouts, it's going to go from a sprout to a sapling to an oak tree. And this is just the process throughout the whole book until you get to Revelations, where basically New Jerusalem comes and you have Eden once again. So just to sum it up real quick, the fall is the unfoldment process, and it's important to think of acorn to oak tree. The grand unified abstract, God, creates Lord God, Jehovah, which is the idea. And from the idea forms the idea. It's almost like a super analogy paradox. But from there, you get to Genesis 4. Oh, and at the end of Genesis 3, you have when the serpent tricks Eve. Eve representing the soul, and Adam representing the mental aspects of our physical body. And Eve being an example of, even you can say once it goes from just being Adam to Adam and Eve, excuse me. Even when it goes from being Adam to Adam and Eve, that's another part of the unfoldment process. So it's continuing to get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until you have the 12 tribes of Israel. But not to get outside of myself. So when you have Adam and Eve, okay, and then so Eve in this situation, Genesis 3 representing the soul, and the soul urge or desire to experience. And that's represented in Eve seeing the fruit from the tree of good and evil as something that's desirable and good to eat. And once she eats it and Lord God finds out, they're immediately kicked out of Eden and they're given garments of skin. So at this point, it is physical. So it went from abstract to an idea to a form to physical. And if you know anything about the number 4 being a cube, or 4 points on the cube, 8 points on the cube, 4 points on the square. The square just representing physicality. Even you'll hear the Masons saying, "Stand on your square." The square represents physical, and that's why in Genesis 4, we're talking about all physical. Genesis 1, 2, and 3 is non-physical, and it's just speaking of the process of something becoming dense. So the abstracts that we have about something, for instance, your stomach is rumbling, you're hungry, you're thinking about something to eat, right? That's the abstract. You know, your stomach is rumbling. You know, it's not quite anything, you know. But once you start to have ideas, okay, maybe I want some pasta and some salad. These are the ideas. And from there, then you're like, okay, what kind of pasta? You know, what kind of salad? You know, that's the form of it. And then the physical will be you physically making it. Everything happens this way. We experience it linear, but I like to contemplate on it as being something that's happening simultaneously. Trying to think if I left out anything. I leave anything y'all, AD? Drinking this water like a 40 ounce. It's a 33 ounce. Well, I got the seal of approval from bro. Just wanted to make a quick video. Peace.